welcome to the Weekly Ward. I'm Dan Ward, Mr. K-Fed, Kev Jones, the Daddy, KJ versus the Highway.
Daddy, USA, USA, USA.
As he's wearing a Canada shirt, but okay, I'll allow it. This is Season 2, Episode 20 of the Weekly Ward, and we're going to be doing it like we always do here, a little rundown of stuff that's going on in Magic right now.
Go over the weekend
got
events.
Some events.
And,
we got some stuff to bring.
We'll be doing a little bit of talk about humility at the end. We'll do SCG Baltimore. We'll do the GP weekend.
Yeah, because
should be good.
You're going to try to make it 2 in a row, right?
Yeah, I mean, no. I'm going to an
Baltimore.
SCG Open, not 2 GPs in a row.
2 trophies.
2 trophies in a row,
Two
sure.
trophies in a row would be great.
But yeah, if anybody wants to see the trophy, it's not in the chat yet. Just ask, and I'll pull it out because it makes me feel really good to hold up the trophy.
Okay.
So if you're just like, yo, trophy.
We'll allow that. We'll allow that all show. So
it's
if
like
you get trophy in the
scoreboard,
chat,
so
we see it, we'll bring the trophy.
All day long. I'm not gonna bring this back for the next week because
I hope not.
I'm gonna bring it home.
You got to bring the new one in.
Yeah, we'll bring the Baltimore one in next week.
Oh my goodness. So for those of you that this may be your first episode, we're going to be doing a pretty much a discussion group on going down the topics of what's happening. So we're going to be going over Marvel. We're going to be doing SCG Baltimore. We got our side topic, which is talking about humility. Kevin's going to lead the charge on that one.
It's basically how soon are you allowed to brag about something?
Yeah.
Where is it appropriate to brag about something? Should you be bragging to customs agents or not? Et cetera, et cetera.
Did you
et cetera.
Deserve it or
Earn it, Jerry?
But first, we want to, before we get rolling here, just let everybody know, check out our website, kerwinsgamestore.com, as the dabbing daddy. We need to get like a bobblehead
I got congratulated.
dabbing daddy.
Epic was like, congrats. I was like, thank you.
A little dab on them. Mm-hmm. So definitely check out the website where we got all of our content. We throw up the weekly awards from the following week up there a couple days after. We have new content almost daily at this point.
New vintage article from Rachel.
Yeah.
Rachel's great. She gets so many hits on her articles because she's just awesome.
Yeah. You got your...
My fairies video is up, watching me play against Living End and punt and tilt and just yell about nonsense. It's great. Really funny.
So definitely check that out. We've got some other stuff. We did a deck of the week yesterday.
Yeah.
We featured Modern Storm. That's going to be coming out every Tuesday, so that'll be up later today.
Oh, I know what we can talk about.
Yeah.
Did you see
I saw it.
The Oliver 2 thing with the playmat? You know what I'm talking about? What did you think I was going to say?
Like John Cena, I can't see that until we get to humility.
You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
So let's start it off.
All right.
We got... Oh, whoa.
Whoa, Daddy, go! I like that haircut.
There... Mr. Sasso wins the GP. So, it's by now everyone that's kind of like paying attention to what's going on Standard. Marvelous weekend. Marvel took down both Grand Prix, Santiago and Montreal. And we got to give the shout outs. Here we go. Run them down.
I got first place, $10,000. Moro Sasso. Second place, $5,000. Grzegorz Kowalski is a Polish pro. He's pretty well known.
Yeah.
Third place, $2,500. Daniel Vega. Fourth place, $2,500. Guillaume Merjam.
He's awesome and a fantastic player.
Where is he from? Argentina?
Brazil.
Brazil, okay.
Brazil.
Fifth place, $1,500. Javier Luna. I've heard that name before.
All right, Javier, I'm taking over now.
Sixth place, $1,500. Nicholas Epstein.
His hair is awesome.
Seventh place, $1,500. Ignacio Saez.
Okay.
And eighth place, $1,500. Niels Norlander.
MTGO champ, right?
And a Dutch... was on the Dutch national team, I believe, this year.
Yeah. Look at Seagal. Seagal's in the chat. Yep.
You know, Seagal broke it, right? The Marvel deck was Seagal's deck.
Yeah.
The man who broke Standard is right there in the chat. Right there.
Canada.
Can we all dab for Mr. Michael Seagal, please? Even if he is a casual Magic player, pretty much, at this point.
Not dabbing, but... All right, so going through the decks, we've got a bunch of Aetherworks Marvels. We've got some Mardu vehicles. Some zombies, some blue-red. But I wanted to highlight this deck first because this is a deck that we haven't seen. We're talking about green-red energy. We saw one of the decks at the PT was the Jun Gods deck that Patrick Diekman did the deck tech with. And this is as close to that as you can kind of get without really having too many of the clunky gods. Like, he's just running the 2 here.
I rather like that deck. Dickman's deck. I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
It was a little weird. It was like a little bit clunky and stuff. The
Yeah.
mana base was pretty greedy,
We're
but
having a little hard time with our.
yeah, I don't know what just happened. I thought
Sure.
you just someone just muted the chat, so I couldn't look at it anymore.
Yeah, that'd be
But
great.
but that wasn't what
if
happened.
we could do that.
But yeah, so this deck is just pretty much a red-green mid-range, aggressively slanted energy deck. But I mean, it just has a lot of 3s and 4s and 5s, so it's kind of an aggressive deck.
Yeah.
It's 0 copies of Servant of the Conduit, which is pretty interesting, right?
Yeah, they can't. The chat can't really see the cards, which is kind of a problem. There we go. All right. Well, you're not going to see us for a sec, so we're going to do a little rundown.
This
Looks good.
Yeah, I'll just read it off. We got 2
Boom.
Chandras in the 4 slot. We got 3 Greenbelt Rampager, 4 Long Tusk Cub, 4 Voltaic Brawler, 2 Tireless Tracker, 2 Ronus the Indomitable, also known as the Vacuum God.
Okay.
I don't know why. I guess because he looks like a vacuum. I'm not
Okay.
really sure. 4 Bristling Hydra, 4 Glorybringer, 4 Attune with Ether, 4 Harness Lightning, 3 Magma Spray, 2 Blossoming Defense, and 22 lands with 4 Cinderglade, 4 Game Trail, 4 Hubs, 7 Forest, and 3 Mountain. That's the list. This is top 8 or top 4? Top 8.
top
right?
8. Yeah.
7th place, right? Ignacio Saez.
Yeah.
Okay.
The thing about this deck that's crazy is it's like the Honey Badger. It just doesn't care. Like, everyone's doing Marvel, and this deck's just like, I'm just going to play super slanted, aggressive cards, and cool, I don't have interaction for your Marvel, but if you miss your first Marvel, you're dead. And I like it. I love it.
Yeah.
We
It
got
definitely puts a
Trample,
lot of
we've
pressure
got
on you.
Evasion, we've got Gods, and we've got cards
And
like...
they've got Appetite and Release, I guess, for Marvel's post board, and Heroic Intervention.
Heroic Intervention.
Which gives
Everything's becoming
hexproof
hexproof.
and indestructible, so you cannot Ulamog.
Sorry, not Ulamogging here.
And you're not blocking with Ulamog either.
That's
It literally
very
bricks
true.
the entire Ulamog turn.
Okay.
It's kind of cool against Kozilek's Return, too. You,
Oh.
put Flashback Kozilek's Return on the stack, and they're, cast this, you're like, all right, well, not flash it back. And then, Marvel into another Ulamog, and then flash it back, and you're like, ah.
Don't you worry about it. We're working about updating the tail of the tape. I was talking about it this morning. We got to add some stuff onto your resume.
What is tail
and
of the
some-
tape?
Tail of the tape on our Twitch feed. You got a Grand Prix trophy now.
Oh, okay.
We got to add that.
Like our bios.
Yeah, exactly. So we got to get on that.
Yeah, so actually a super funny story. So
Super funny story.
it's in the
segue.
chat. That's why it's funny.
Okay.
So this guy says, Daddy signed my Kanye West tokens.
Okay.
That happened. So the last round of day 1,
They were goats.
1-1 against Mardu Vehicles. Nice gentleman from Ontario. I think he was from a cool place called Thunder Bay, which I didn't even know that's an awesome name, right?
Thunder Bay.
Thunder
yeah.
Bay, yeah.
Thunder Bay.
He said it was north of Michigan or
It's like
whatever.
a Garth Brooks song.
North of Minnesota. But anyway, I'm getting a little bit
Daddy
sidetracked.
facts. Daddy facts.
Going to game 3 against my opponent, I managed to win game 2, and this gentleman is sitting next to me, and he says, "You're one of my favorite players. Can you sign my tokens, please?" And he has Kanye West tokens that are GOAT tokens,
Yeah.
greatest of all time.
I used to play him with my Trading Post deck.
And he has Drake tokens that are Drake. October's very own. Toronto, Drake. With the rapper.
Chilling in the six.
Yeah.
With my,
And
you know how that goes.
So he says, "Can you sign these?" And I think he thought that game 2 was game 3. He didn't
Okay.
realize that the game was still going on. So I'm confused. So I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And my opponent just looks at me like, "What's going on?" And I'm just like, "Oh, yeah, I probably shouldn't do this in the middle of the match." So I just give him back his tokens. I'm like, "I have to sign them afterwards." He's like, "Oh, sorry." And it was so funny. It was just super awkward because I just tried to start signing tokens in the middle of a match, at 6-2 in the GP, and good times. But I signed tokens afterwards. I got a Sharpie from the booth, and I get to meet Matthew. What's his name? If I don't butcher the French pronunciation of that.
Okay.
But cool guy. But yeah, funny story.
All right,
can
back
keep going.
on the red-green energy deck. I think it has a lot of the tools to fight what everybody's trying to do. Being super aggressive. I like it versus the Marvels. Maybe not as equipped to fight the zombie package, but cards like Glorybringer, Sweltering Suns in the sideboard, you've got some things, and you could still just be so aggressive to just get kind of under a zombies deck, if that makes sense.
Do you like?
This card is busted. Long Tusk Cub is
Yeah, the
ridiculous.
card's really good.
I mean, there is board states that I saw that were just it just stole the game. Yeah, there's times where you play it, it gets killed, whatever. But the times where it lives,
it just dominates. So
the
in
cup
such short
becomes
order.
a bear. Like
It's
it
just like a
mauls you.
6/6 on turn 3.
Yeah.
Turn 4 sometimes. So Dan Fournier played Long Tusk Cub in the sideboard of his Marvel deck,
He must be smart.
and he just served me up some work in game 2 of the top 8
Okay.
with that cub.
We'll get into his list. The blue-red list's
Cool.
kind of similar. Let's just look at the winning list here and see the differences. We can talk about like what Mr. Sasso went with, and then go over like your list. So, what are the couple things that you see that stand out to you? First,
In this red-green deck?
Yeah.
Oh no, this is the Marvel deck. Sorry.
Yeah, this is the Marvel
It's almost the same cards. All right, so I just saw 2 Chandra at the top, and I'm like, why are we looking at this deck still? But the most notable things are Servants and 4-mana Chandras, no 6-mana Chandras, no Glimmers, a main deck Sweltering Suns, no Gear Hulk, no Sensors, 2 Magma Spray instead of 1, only 3 Puzzle Knot. Those are like the deviations from stock, and the full 4 Whirler Virtuoso. This deck is more
proactive.
Yeah, more proactive. It's like a mid-range deck that marvels.
Okay.
Whereas, my deck and some of the other people's decks are like a control deck that marvels, I guess. Best way to
Okay.
describe it.
Yeah. I like it. Like Sensor, I think is like in really like a good position right now, especially with a lot of people playing Marvel. It just is. It really like improves like the matchup.
We got to
But
look at your deck list too when we get to Montreal,
Alright.
because it's a sweet one.
Ooh, a little.
What did I say to you on Saturday?
Little brew them up. What did you say to me? You
I
said.
said descend upon the sinful.
You asked
remember?
Me. I
Okay,
think so.
go ahead.
You said descend upon the sinful is a busted magic card. I don't know why no one else is playing it. However, the other 57 cards in your deck
are
are unplayable.
I said descend upon the
that's like-
sinful. If you're using Marvel and Ulamog, descend upon the sinful is
Dylan.
probably the best thing you can possibly be doing.
And I've been saying this for a
But
while.
the other 57 cards in your deck, besides the Marvels and Ulamogs, are stone awful.
And then what about
That's
the
what I
lands?
said. The lands are fine.
So it can't be all 57.
Well, you know what I mean. Oh, thanks, Dylan.
Dylan's great.
Dylan's great.
Dylan
Daddy's
and
great.
the boys.
Going to Japan with Daddy.
Oh my
Daddy's
God.
going to
I can't
Japan.
handle this.
Daddy's going to Japan.
Okay, so with there was a mention. Oh, there wasn't a mention. Whoa, that's not allowed.
Sorry, I just
You're not
lost
allowed
it
to
a
do
minute.
that. So I don't know. I like this version for doing like you said. I think it grinds a little bit harder. You can see in this sideboard he's got more the blue spells that everyone's kind of looking. A big one-of package too. Bristling Hydra, Moral's Expertise, kind of some cool stuff in there. 1 Flame Caller. I don't know. I just think Flame Caller's just.
Baral's expertise is cool.
It is. I think if you think that there's going to be a
This
lot of
is
marvels.
cool, too. Glorybringer in the board.
Yeah.
BBD had it main deck.
Okay.
He said he had it main deck. He said he glory brung people game 1.
Interesting.
He's winning GP with 3 tournaments left in the season. Kinda. Like, I can silver before Japan, but like it still gets me. If I go to Japan, I'm still silver, which means I get Japan and I get Albuquerque even anyway, so it's still fine. But yeah, like apparently silver gives you, and you would know this better than I do because you're silver sometimes. It gives you the first GP of the next season and the first GP immediately after you become silver.
Incorrect.
Then what does it do?
It gives you
One
one
invite
Grand
each
Prix
season?
for the season that you qualify and 1 Grand Prix for the following season. Or 1 Pro Tour for the following season.
Okay, I read something else.
Maybe they've changed it since I became silver last year. And that'd be something that could easily have happened. But
It said the Pro Tour immediately after you are promoted to Silver Players Club level, and the
Yeah.
first Pro Tour of the next season,
yeah, that would be.
or a Pro Tour in the next season.
Yeah.
It might be a Pro Tour in the next season. I don't know, but
I'm sure our viewers are dying to hear this.
Well, it's interesting because if I go to Japan, like I become
Now
silver.
it's an if?
When I go to Japan, I become silver as soon as I enter the tournament. So the next Pro Tour after I get level is Albuquerque.
Well, you have to make it through the tournament without going to Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
Some people have not been able to do
Okay. Well, I can just like
Drop after round
right?
one.
Draft, rare draft, and drop.
You don't want a blizzard?
And so then, like, I would get Albuquerque, and then I would get the next one too, right? Or would I just double get Albuquerque and not be able to get the next one?
I'd have to.
That's
read
what
the
I'm trying to say.
statement.
I don't understand how it works.
Yeah, I'd have to read the statement that you saw, but I think like if you
I really don't
qualify,
think anybody in the chat cares. I probably shouldn't even have brought it up, but it's interesting.
Well, this talks about humility, but we can save it for later.
Daddy Gold by the end of next season? I don't know about that, man. That's hard.
Yeah, not gonna happen. I mean,
there's just too many SCG Opens to play in. They're like, oh, you want to go to a Grand Prix and be Gold? I'm like, nah. I'm just gonna go play Grixis Delver and get bodied.
So I don't know. I like the two Chandra Torture Defiances. If you're trying to play against the meta that's going to be more Marvels, whereas Chandra Flamecaller is obviously better versus more of the creature decks, the zombie decks. So I think they might have been, and the Tireless Tracker's main too. I think this is like another card that like in the mirrors is like huge. Magma Spray not so much, but I can see like wanting those. You're gonna have some other cards that are low on the curve to be able to substitute for sensors, which is interesting.
Yeah, I just think that like untapped mana is super good with this deck. Like you're just tapping out like when you pass on 3, you can leave up Harness or Sensor or like Cracking of Puzzle Knot. It's just so sweet. They don't do anything, or they'll just sit there and they'll deliberate for a second. They'll sometimes in the mirror they're just like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I sit there for a second, and they go, all right, play Rogue Refiner, and you're like, all right, end of turn, Crack Puzzle Knot, untap, play Marvel, get Ulamog, die. That happened all the time.
So here's your list. Which,
my
by
list
the way,
is weird. My list is way different from the one that won in Santiago.
For those of you that are interested, we will be featuring this deck next week
on our
the
Deck of the Week
so
segment, which has been sweet.
We'll be able to go over the deck and then do some updates to get everybody ready for GP Omaha. Okay, so the first thing I want to ask you with your list, 3 Ulamogs over 4 Ulamogs.
Yeah, so like the Nissa's Renewal is kind of like the 4th Ulamog, right? Okay. So like it's a decent hit off Marvel. Like it gives you enough time to untap Energy and Marvel again, because you get 7 life and 3 lands, so you certainly are not going to die with cards in your hand.
Yeah, but you might not have the energy. But I get what you're saying.
You might not have the energy, true, but in pre-board games you usually do.
Okay.
In post-board games, sometimes you're a little energy starved. Yeah, exactly. It's pretty easy to get the second and third Marvel activations in game once, but a little bit harder post-board.
Yeah.
But anyway, Nissa's Renewal like makes you lets you hardcast Ulamog, which is just super important in the mirror, and it just gives you a Marvel hit that you can cast.
Okay.
Like there's a lot of Marvel hits in this deck that you can cast. There's a Gear Hulk, there's 2 Chandras, and there's a Nissa's Renewal. And then there's the Ulamogs, which are like, the Nissa's Renewal facilitates the casting of the Ulamogs. And you don't always have to Renewal to cast the Ulamogs. Sometimes you just draw 10 lands and cast them.
Gotcha. Later, Andrea.
Yeah, thank you, Biaggi. But yeah, I don't know. This is like, I just wanted to, and someone was like, oh, why don't you have 4 Ulamogs? The mirror comes down to Ulamogs. I'm like, well, because you need to cast them, not draw them. Like the goal is to put them into play.
I agree with you. I actually I only ran 3 Ulamogs as well this weekend, and I was talking to a lot of people where depending on your post board configuration, it's almost correct to take an Ulamog out because it's going to be so much. It's going to be so much harder to resolve a Aetherworks Marvel that it's going to come down to the game's going a little bit longer. And yeah, you want Ulamog, but you don't need so many. You don't need 4. So if you have 4 in your deck, you could trim to 3.
I also think that like this version is like more high velocity with sensors, glimmers, the thinning provided by Attunes and Renewal. Then like Chandra could see some cards. There's a Cycle Land, Rogue Refiner, etc., etc. So like a lot of ways to see more cards, and like that makes it seem fine to just play like 3 Ulamogs because Glimmer can like bottom them sometimes too.
Sure.
Then you can attune like correctly and shuffle before you Marvel or whatever.
Fair.
If you have to, or if you draw a bunch of Ulamogs, you can Chandra. But that actually came up like never. Like, I don't think I wheeled Chandra with Ulamogs in my hand once in the entire tournament.
Okay.
I also boarded it out against the mirror like almost every time. Sometimes I left one in. It won me like game 3 playing for top 8, but like that was the only one I left in because he was like kept in all his whirlers and was being much more aggressive. So like I kept in the Chandra to have a Marvel hit that like can give me some time.
All right, I have a question for you that I don't think you were asked yet. Out of all the cards in your main deck, what was the worst card in your deck?
Probably Chandra.
You think so? Is it
Yeah.
is that due to the fact that you didn't play a lot of zombies?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I lost once to it. I
Well-
beat Andrew Solano, your buddy
Okay.
from Texas, right?
Yeah.
And
Hashtag Andrew Solano.
I lost to a nice Australian man. I think his name was Frederick.
Yeah, I was
from-
there watching that
Yeah,
match.
yeah.
Actually, he was
He
super
was a nice
cool.
guy playing zombies.
Not a
and he got me.
surfer.
Not a surfer, yeah. he had like long hair and a ponytail and like a bit of a beard. He was blonde.
Walking
and I was
around
like, "Yo."
with no shoes on.
He had, like,
no socks.
Flip flops on, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Are you a surfer?" And he was like, "No, but I like know how." Or
He was like, I just surfed past you.
he was like, "I just surfed to 6-1, bro."
Nah, he was cool. It's weird because like I didn't play zombies at all. The entire tournament.
Played twice against zombies. I actually played 3 times against zombies, but one of the times was blue-red zombies.
Oh, okay.
And he said that like he was playing it because, or he was like worried because he saw me playing the deck in Atlanta, so he was afraid that it would be like a deck that people were like prepared for then.
Okay.
And unfortunately, that deck just like does nothing some percentage of the time. I think we talked about this after Atlanta, after I played it. But it just game
Doesn't
1
seem good versus Marvel either.
it wasn't very good against Torrential Gearhulk, that was
Yeah.
for sure. And then game 2, he just had one of the hands where he couldn't do anything.
Okay.
But yeah, so 1 red blue zombies, 2 mono black zombies, couple other like
Ankle shanker.
non-Marvel
what's
decks,
up?
but a lot of Marvel decks.
Lot of Marvel decks.
Blue red control twice.
What did you like for the sideboard matchups for the mirrors? What was the plan you were trying to go? I've seen a lot of things, and I'll go over. You wanted to bring up my list. I'll show my list, and I'll kind of like talk about what I'm trying to do. What are you trying? What's your role going into games 2 and 3?
The mirror.
Yeah.
I like to be the control deck. I like to prioritize land drops very highly.
Okay.
Most people respect negate so much that like they won't jam into your negates post board.
Yeah, or censor. They play around it. The games
They play
go
around
way
censor
longer.
too. The games go very long. So on the play, like cards like Tireless Tracker are great. I still have a couple on the draw. But on the play, tapping out on turn 3 for a creature, a Rogue Refiner, a Tracker, or if you leave in Whirler, but I've been trimming Whirlers down to 1, sometimes 0, depending on how aggressive my opponent. If my opponent was really aggressive, I would leave in more Whirlers to make sure that I can like mitigate them trying to cheese me out with their own Whirlers or whatever.
Okay.
But generally, I want to be the control deck. I want to hit land drops. Eventually, like Marvel with negate backup, and get them to expend some resources, and then like Gearhulk is fantastic, obviously, because it lets you attack without committing mana on your turn. Super important. And like just tax their Harness Lightnings, get some creatures in play, try to go a little wide, leave up negate at all costs pretty much, and like minimize the amount of like clunky sorcery things that are in my deck. So like less Chandras, less Puzzle Knots.
Yeah, Puzzle Knot's one of the cards that, like, for my build specifically, I shave all of them. And I know a lot of people have talked about and they leave 1 in.
1 in usually,
But
sometimes 2 again if my opponent's really aggressive, and or there's something like Dan Fournier's deck. Like I might have left in more. I'm not sure because Dan had like a more aggressive slant and was tapping out like basically every turn.
yeah.
And there was like, I thought that it's possible that he didn't even have Marvel in his deck post board. I think he ended up having it, but it seemed like he trimmed it because he had a lot of
Yeah, I also
Cubs
played Daniel in the tournament.
Tireless Trackers.
He was my only lost day too, and yeah, we talked after the match. He had a similar game plan of mine. He went just really low to the ground, and you wanted to pull it up. I'll bring my deck up here so we can kind of show everybody what
We
we're
should
talking
look at
about.
Dan's deck too.
Sure.
Fournier.
Here we are.
Shout out to Pat Reynolds, our buddy Simba, top 16 as well.
Okay.
He's one of Harlan and Art's friends from Virginia.
Oh,
So
sick.
good for him.
A lot of Deep Fiend love in the chat.
Yeah, I like Deep Fiend. That's a good card. I don't know if you can play it in the control version though. You don't have enough creatures.
Yeah. So this is my version. It's the Bant Marvel. I got to give the shout outs to Florian Koch and Andreas Gantz. They both helped me out a little bit on Friday. We talked over some things and just going through some discussion points with them. made me come to terms on my exact list and what I liked and what I didn't like. And just gave me some kind of good factual information about the deck.
Yeah, yeah.
Andreas Gans played it at the Pro Tour, and he thought it was very powerful, even though he was playing the Temur version.
Yeah, I sat next to him actually, and I was talking to him about the Cubs and the Quellers, and he was like, "Oh, Dan Ward's doing that," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I know Dan."
So my list is a little differently. We're not a little differently built. We're not talking red cards here. We're talking white. We're utilizing what you called the best thing you could be doing in Standard right now, Descend Upon the Sinful.
I think it's super. Well, I don't want to Descend Upon the Sinful unless I'm also casting Have Marvel.
Yes.
Like that's why I want to Descend Upon the Sinful.
Sure.
Because it's good with Marvel, I think.
So I'm playing Rogue Refiner as a 4 of Shielded Aether Thief, MVP this weekend. The amount of cards I drew off of this while just stopping my opponent from getting damage in was instrumental to a lot of my victories.
Exile is just such an on Descend. It's so awesome.
Yeah.
Exile is such a good.
Well, that's the thing. I didn't get to play any zombies, and I was just like
zombie in your head.
It's in his head. What can I say?
In your head. Zombies is great.
No, I'm not playing that.
What happened?
I'm trying to go over the deck.
Oh, Aetherwind Basker.
Yeah.
I saw it.
Yeah.
No, hit me.
Hit you with what?
Your
What do you want to
truth.
get hit?
Tell me your deck. Tell me
It's
why
right
you're great.
here. 4 Servants of the Conduit. A lot of the red list kind of went away from Servants. I still think it's very good. Plus, my version doesn't have Harness Lightning, so I need other things to do on 2, while also just advancing, the board, getting some mana, getting some energy. It's like the perfect card. We both came to terms on 1 Torrential Gear Hulk. Basically, the same things that you said, I agree with for once.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see my deck's actually built a little bit differently with some 1-ofs here, and we both have the sensors and the glimmers, and you have obviously the harnesses, which I'm missing, but I think I want to be either buying back a glimmer or a negate sometimes. Even a sensor from time to time can be actually just like your opponent's just like, whatever, I'm not playing around sensor at this point, and you get them with the Gear Hulk as well. All the other stuff's pretty similar. We both agreed on the Ulamogs. I don't have the Nissa's Renewal because I don't really...
I actually think you should.
Yeah.
You're you have 9 basics still, and you need the life gain more than I do because you don't have red removal to manage the board as well.
Yeah, but the problem is...
Your deck has so much pressure on its marvels to hit.
The problem is there is pressure on it, but I also, add the amount of actual things that keep me alive / reset the board with Descend. And I just can't afford, I don't think, to play another card that costs 6 mana in the deck or more.
Yeah.
Because now we're talking about 7 cards that are 6+.
Well, we have a silly hieroglyphic illumination in your deck that we could maybe get rid of that.
No, I like that card. It was really good.
What do you think about Shrine of the Forsaken Gods?
I think the card's awesome. I think it should be played in most builds. I think moving forward, you want one in. I think in the mirror matches, it's instrumental to being able to play Ulamog sooner.
You can also play Marvel with it once you have a bunch of mana and make counter fights better.
Yeah.
Which is kind of neat.
It's just tough to fit, you know what I mean? You got to choose... You got to have this certain amount of basics. Then you have to choose what you're trying to do here. Are we trying to play the Forsaken Gods? Are we trying to play more Lumbering Falls? Are we trying to play Cycling Lands? All these have come at a cost. Where you get 2 mana from this, you also don't get green on turn 1. Or, it comes into play untapped, but it doesn't produce colored mana. And, that's a big thing.
I didn't want it in my deck because I have so many basics in my deck instead for Nissa's Renewal. And, the people who have Shrine get to, keep an extra spell slot and play, Dissenter's Deliverance main deck or something. But, I don't get to do that, but I have an extra land slot, so I played Sheltered Thicket.
Okay.
So it's a rub there. I got a cycling card, but, my cycling card doesn't kill Marvel, obviously, but instead I get, a really cool, really unique polarizing main deck card.
Yeah.
That's, it's, polarizing in that, it just does something really, really awesome, or it does nothing. If you're flooded, sure, you get 3 more lands and 7 life, it doesn't really matter. But, if you need the lands and you need the life, it gets you to Ulamog and it's awesome. And Nissa's Renewal was, a huge part of my plan in so many matchups this weekend. It was fantastic. The card was fantastic.
So, the reason why I'm not playing it, and this kind of answers the question in the chat about Long Tusk Cubs, You don't want Long Tusk Cub in the main because, one, Long Tusk Cub does not suit well with playing it into Rogue Refiners, Whirler Virtuosos, and Harness Lightnings. And two...
Yeah, but post-board, less of those things makes it great.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And your opponent's taking out their removal, they're trimming on removal, and you're... At least I'm trying to make the game... I'm trying to go underneath and get them in a position with my sideboard. As you can see, Long Tusk Cubs are there. I've got multiple Spell Quellers. I've got cheap interaction with Dispel and Essence Scatter, which, by the way, I think Essence Scatter is one of the most underplayed cards for the Marvel Mirrors. I think it's, like, actually very good.
You boarded it in the mirror?
Yeah, definitely.
And black-green, and that's it?
I boarded it in the mirror.
Oh, zombies, I guess.
I didn't play zombies, so I didn't get to try that. I brought it in versus Blue-Red Control because it hits a Gear Hulks.
Any counter, literally any counter spell is good against them.
I don't know. What was that?
I'm yawned.
Oh, okay.
Winning GPs is tiring. Any counter spells are good against red blue.
Yeah, counter spells.
I will play like the worst counter spells in my deck.
Yeah, counter spells are good for them. And I guess the main point is what I'm getting to is the deck transforms into a different deck. You want to be Nissa's Renewing. I don't care about that because I'm cutting all the descends. I'm going low to the ground, and guess what? Going to kill you.
Yeah, with Cub and Queller, right?
Cub, Queller, Servant, Rogue Refiner, whatever I've got to do to kill you, get you in a position to where you feel like you have to tap out, and then I hopefully can either counter what you're doing or land a Marvel of my own.
Not knowing your board, I would board out all my Harness Lightnings against you, and then I would die game 2 horribly. And then in game 3, I would have all 4 Harness Lightnings in, and I would have...
Yeah, and then I would cut the Long Tusk
Sweltering Suns in.
And then I would cut all the stuff for game 3.
And I'm still fine with that because I'm a better control deck every time, and that's why my deck was sweet. That's why I just boarded in things like Sweltering Suns against Dan Fournier, because I'm like, well, if this is good, it's going to be good, and if I'm dead, I'm going to be dead anyway, and if we're playing a control game and he cuts all his aggro creatures, well, my deck is just better built to do that anyway, so
yeah.
I can just cycle this card and it's fine. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you.
Man, that's sad.
That was your store, right?
Closed. Yeah.
What is the dude's name? Your buddy from there who I bumped into at the Pro Tour? Guillermo Mercado?
Yeah,
I like that guy. He's cool.
Guillermo? He's great.
He was at Pro Tour San Diego, too. I think he was local.
Yeah.
Local Pro Tour.
All right. What else do we have that was in the top 8?
Oh, we want to check out Dan Fournier's deck.
Mardu,
I think Max McVitie was in the chat before. He said, Daddy beat me in the semis. So I think he was in the chat, too.
Max. Give Max a shout out here. We didn't do the shout outs. We got to do shout outs. What am I doing here? All right. Run it down.
Do you know Max's story? Oh, first place. El Daddy. Mr. Kevin Jones. I got 10 grand. Who's got 2 thumbs and a trophy? All right, fine. I'm done bragging. Second place, Paul Dean. He got so unlucky in the finals. It was anticlimactic and a little bit disappointing. It would have been nice to play
first ever Grand Prix top 8.
Awesome slugfest, and he was platinum without ever top 8ing a Grand Prix, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But getting second in his first GP top 8 is great. Congrats to Paul again. Maxime Aubin is I think the lone person from Quebec in the top 8, right? I don't know if Liam is from Quebec. Liam might also be from Quebec. But,
yeah. Not sure.
Congrats to Maxime. He played Blue-Red Control, and he played it very well, from what I hear. Fourth place, Max McVitie. He drove by himself through the night on Friday because his flight got canceled.
Yeah, his flight did not get canceled.
And that didn't get canceled? What happened?
No. Don't be giving out false information.
That's what he said.
No. What happened was he went to the airport an hour before his flight and didn't realize he needed a passport.
Oh.
So the flight took off without him, and there wasn't another flight, so he had to get in his car and drive.
Oh,
and it was well worth it, apparently.
I could have sworn he said his flight got canceled. Oh, well. Well, that's a way better story.
This is why I'm driving to Omaha, so I can have, like, a cool story like that.
Yeah,
or it could just be a sad story.
But, yeah, no, Max played Mardu Vehicles, and he played it very well. Even though he was super tired all of day 1.
Yeah.
Fifth place, Ethan. Ethan, when he locked up top 8, was just broke down in tears because he's been trying so hard to play Magic at the highest level for so long, and I'm so happy for him.
You know what's great?
He's a good buddy of mine. Congratulations, Ethan. We're really happy for you.
You know what's great about Ethan?
He went to dinner with us Saturday.
He went to dinner with us, and then also on day 2, I said, or day 1 at dinner, at dinner I was like, zombies will not top 8 this event. And as soon as he top 8'd, I looked at him, I walked over and I go, I've never been more happy to be wrong in my life.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
6th place, Sean McLaren, proving that even when there's a blue-red tricky mid-range deck with a combo finish, he can still just get people with honest beats, with black-green energy top 8ing.
Yeah, we had it in the chat here. He's one of my favorite players. Lone Wolf, comes out of nowhere, and he just always performs well.
Dan Fournier in 7th with $1,500 as well.
He's spinning. Still spinning.
Did the fidget spinner Marvel, man. So, congrats to Dan. We had an awesome, really close top 8 match, and that was super sweet. So, congrats again to him. Going into the tournament, if there was like a poll, it was like, who in this tournament is most likely to play Torrential Gearhulk in their deck? Dan would have been the person I named. And I was 100% certain he would be playing the Marvel deck that I played with like Glimmers and Sensors and Gearhulks. But he wasn't. He was playing a very strange version with like all tapping out. And then the last top 8 finisher was Liam Kane Mellor, which I think is how you say that last name.
Yeah.
He was playing Mardu, and he said in his top 8 profile that it was his only standard deck, and he's just a young kid, and he just wanted to play his standard deck. So he did.
That's the best.
And he top 8'd. So good for him, right? Isn't that cool? So yeah, I just want to go play Magic.
All right.
Hey, thank you, DC Sports 8. That might be someone I know. I'm not sure, but thank you, appreciate it. All right, so this is Dan Fournier's Teamer Marvel deck. He had a legitimate sideboard plan of Metallic Rebuke, which I had in my sideboard at a PPDQ a week ago.
Okay.
After the Pro Tour, and I said I think this card is nuts with puzzle knots and clues and all that stuff. I don't know why people aren't playing more of them. And so he employed that to good use. He had 4 Long Tusk Cub that he would board it in the mirror and just attack people. It's great. I wonder where he got that fantastic idea from. 2 Tracker to go up to the full 4, and then 2 Negate to go with the 2 main deck Negate to go up to the full 4. So he's basically just like a tempo deck post board.
Yeah.
Negates, Metallic Rebukes, Cubs, and Trackers, and once he establishes a board presence, he just leaves up his mana, cracks clues, gets energy, beats them down with the planet, and keeps them off Marvel. And that's what he tried to do. I think that like my Torrential Gearhulks, and I kept a lot of removal in so that I was able to like mitigate that. And I had Torrential Gearhulks, which were able to fight at instant speed, plus my own trackers that could like, incentivize board parity and stuff. So like there was a lot of stuff going on in the matchup, and I don't think like that every Marvel deck will just roll over and die to like early pressure plus counter magic, because a lot of them can like parry and do sort of the same thing.
Okay.
But in general, I think it's a good plan for the mirror. If you manage to win game 1, most of the people aren't going to expect you to have this in your sideboard. Unless going forward it becomes a gold standard. Like that's also possible that everyone has this in their sideboard going forward.
Well, yeah.
Then it's not good anymore.
I didn't look at a ton of the lists, but I know that Daniel and myself, I think, were one of the few people that were just the 4 Long Tusk Cups. Everybody else just had the trackers.
I was
I didn't play against another Long Tusk Cup all weekend besides the match.
And now I promise this is not bragging, but I was 9-0 in mirrors this weekend.
Sure.
And
well, you gotta have a good record if you win the tournament.
Yeah, right? Yeah, of course. Whatever. But the one card that I kept saying I really hope they don't have it is Confiscation Coup. I was constantly worried about Confiscation Coup.
Yeah.
And against Omar Belden on day 1 at 5-2, I had won game 1. In game 2, I had an Ulamog attacking, and he cast Confiscation Coup when he had 6 energy, and it resolved. It went up to 10 energy, and he
stole your Ulamog.
Took my Ulamog.
And then killed you.
But I spun Marvel in response and found Negate.
Ah, okay.
But I
saw another game as well that you were dreading.
I might have spun Marvel in response and found another Ulamog.
Yeah, I saw another game that happened that weekend too. That like you were really worried about Confiscation Coup
against Felix.
You attacked to rip the top 20, and he had a draw step to hit his last Marvel, his last Ulamog, or his last Coup.
Yeah,
and he missed. I think a gold standard. As
I think you've got to dodge a few things, but
the gold standard moving forward is actually seeing that maybe Confiscation Coup moving to the main deck.
It's a good card. It's super underrated.
Yeah. I just think if you're going to be playing lots of Marvel mirrors, that's a card you want that swings, that deals with it.
A crazy Magic trivia would be like, what cards in Standard have are story spotlight cards, and Confiscation Coup is one of them.
Stories.
So it was like, captured by the consulate and a few other ones.
Okay.
I don't. If you, most people don't even know what Story Spotlight is. Yeah, the Dutch soccer team jacket. They have like him and Ed have like a tradition whenever they go to Europe or foreign countries, they buy a track jacket for that soccer team.
It's true.
He has the England one. If you watch any of the back episodes, the red and white England one.
Yeah. I've got a bunch of different ones. I got one from Paris.
The white one is Paris, right?
Yeah, white one's Paris.
Should I start getting these too?
You should at least get one, and they're very stylish and nice, and they last a long time.
Japan
would be great. That'd be great. All right, so enough with the Marvels. We went over some decks. Congratulations to everybody that top 8'd, and not only top 8'd, but all the people that had fun this weekend and did well playing the deck they wanted. Good
finishes, enjoyed themselves. We had a sweet weekend. Independent of the result, dinner was great. Hangouts were great. I met some cool people.
Tripped on you going to the bathroom because I didn't realize you were sleeping in the hallway.
I met some cool guys from Ontario on the hotel steps on Saturday night. I think their names were Joel, Alex, and Randall, and we had an awesome conversation about Magic and stuff. And shout out to those guys for being cool. So
as we're shifting gears here, I'm going to ask you one question as we leave Montreal in the sunset and we arrive in Baltimore. What's the deal, man? No menthol cigarettes?
Oh, yeah. So, I guess the government of Canada really, really likes to try to deter teen smoking.
Okay.
And one of the ways they do that is by having, like, all sorts of deterrent marketing things where they have, like, like rotting mouths and like, all sorts of disgusting things on the packages or whatever. But they also have been banning any sort of flavored cigarette because they think it encourages teen smoking.
Gotcha.
So you can't buy menthol cigarettes anywhere in Quebec at all. So I was smoking Marlboro Lights all weekend, and I was so unhappy about it.
Oh, my goodness. Yes, King Molly, I did hear Kevin roasting me, but that's okay. Because you know what? One of these days I'm going to hold the trophy up, and I'm not going to roast him.
You're not going to give me the time of day, right? You're not going to give me the ego validation?
I don't have to. Scoreboard, and the scoreboard's getting close now.
I thought that you would, you would be mad that you got roasted, but you would still overall be above 50% happy because I mentioned you on the stream and the winner's interview. And you would be like, oh, that guy, he's such a rascal. And then you'd be like, yeah, I'm so happy he said my name. Me and Marshall Sutcliffe are friends. We're tall and talk about basketball. That's what would have happened. That's how your mind would have gone. That's exactly how your mind would have gone.
No, it is not. It's so funny because, like, when you did the interview, you're just, like, actually being yourself, but being yourself is not telling the truth sometimes. And not that...
What does that mean? What are you trying to paint the daddy as dishonest? Excuse me.
Yeah, you go over there.
You trying to
It's not
paint
that you're
the daddy as
dishonest, but when you say some outlandish things, and then people take that as like 100% truth.
Well, you also do the same thing. I'm coming back on
sure, but I don't
stop
do
calling
that.
Me a liar.
But I don't do that.
I'm not coming back until you say.
You can go home, but we don't.
Look at the screen.
Yeah.
The daddy is not a liar.
Kevin definitely didn't pay for dinner. And
I wasn't with you guys. You guys left in a different car.
Yeah.
You're facilitating falsehoods here. I'm coming back. I'm gassed up.
He should be gassed up. I've been telling you to play the deck forever. You finally play the deck, a version of it, and then you win a Grand Prix. Equals listening to Dan equals winning at Magic. Or rather, listening to Dan equals winning at life.
You know what you telling me to play Marvel and then me winning with a different Marvel deck is like? It's like if you were like, hey, you should really play Living End Splinter Twin. Because Living End Splinter Twin is the best deck.
And Mark Morrison,
Exactly, Mark Morrison, yeah.
And you should.
And instead, I play regular Splinter Twin and win. You know what you're going to say when I win with regular Splinter Twin? I've been telling you to play Splinter Twin forever. You finally listened to me. But in fact, you were telling me to play a bad deck that just contained the card Splinter Twin.
That's
what you were doing the entire time. You were saying, play this poor Marvel deck with like 5 colors in it and 4 to send upon the Sinful when you can just play like Blue-White Flash. And like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to play Blue-White Flash. Like, Smuggler's Copter is legal. I'm not playing your stupid deck.
Sure, but my deck was good.
Your deck was not good. I guess it was okay. Emrakul was okay.
I like. What wasn't okay about it? Like, my record was great,
Just
and
mopey
I think
cards.
the problem that you have, Kevin, is that when you play a deck like yourself, and you know what I mean. This is not to take anything away from your accomplishments this weekend. You played great, but 60 people played your deck.
Yeah.
You know how many people played Bant Marvel this weekend? Probably 2. There were 6
Maybe 3.
non-Temer, and to have one in the top 16.
Yeah.
And then, like, if we go back to the tournament
60
that I
people
told,
played my
just
deck and I was
listen.
9-0.
Just
Are you
listen.
trying to? What are you trying to say?
Just listen to what I'm saying. Don't talk over me. Just listen to what
All
I'm
right,
saying.
fine.
Brian Will Gordon and Cody Lingelbach, when I told you to play the deck in GP Denver, all 3 of us played the deck. And all 3 of us did well. But we were the only 3 in the room playing that version. And what I'm saying is, I can be right that a version is good, but if I'm the only person playing it, that's not enough of a sample size to be able to go over and say this deck is good or this deck is bad.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Sure.
Okay.
Your deck is fine. Your current bad
How can
deck,
it go from outlandishly bad and unplayable to fine?
Because it's not
I don't
the same
understand.
deck. Your band deck right now is good. It's a little bit light on spot removal, but it's good.
Yeah, see? You top 8 of that GP. Get it. With his Marvel.
I don't understand what's going on.
I don't know either. But
Oh, Denver, I think he's saying.
Did you have Descend Upon? And yeah, Dan is right. Thank you. Thank you, Epic Fab. We needed... All right, we need a poll. Is Dan right? No.
I don't
Who
even
is
know
right?
what you're
Dan
right
or
about. I'm only
I'm
yelling
right
at
about
you.
being right.
Yeah, but you're
And you're wrong. You're left. I'm right. You're left. I'm right. All right, let's talk about Baltimore before we get any further into this.
Harlan, we're not going to feature your stupid modern deck that
Yeah,
has 4
please.
electrolyzes in it and 4 Geist of St. Traps.
But I will say, Geist of St. Trapt is cool to see back on the scene.
Okay, so I'll give him his due. Harlan top 16 the Modern Classic last weekend with 4 Geist of St. Trapt and 4 electrolyzed main deck and Jeskai control.
So,
You want to put the list up?
should we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
It's also cool because... yeah, there you go. It's also cool because our third teammate got first place. One teammate got first place, one teammate got first place, and the third teammate has 4 electrolyze in his deck. So congrats to Brad on taking down a tournament this weekend. Congrats to me on taking down a tournament this week. And congrats to Harlan on playing 4 electrolyze. Well done.
Wow, you're just shooting the shots all the time. I love it. Yeah, you're right about being right. You ready?
It's
You want to bring this up? What are we doing?
No, this deck
We're
is
just looking at it. We're looking
This
at it.
deck
All
is
right, we're
probably
done.
fine. I think it has enough removal to actually withstand enough removal encounters to actually withstand the Eldrazi onslaught.
Okay.
So I think this is a control deck that's actually good against Bant Eldrazi or Eldrazi Tron.
Okay.
It just has a lot of counter spells, a lot
Which
of velocity,
typically isn't
and a quick
true.
clock.
Thanks a lot for the
And
follow.
typically,
we appreciate that. RS.
You just die to Reality Smasher, but you have 4 Snapcaster Mage and 4 Path to Exile,
Okay.
and so many +1s that you can probably beat Reality Smasher,
Okay.
which is nice.
Would you play this deck?
Would I play this deck? Probably not.
4 Molten Rain, yeah, you mean business.
Yeah, this is what you do when you want to be aggressive in your life. You just put 4 Molten Rain in your deck, and then you have 18 3-drops in your control deck. And that's it.
All right.
Um,
Congratulations,
deck is
Harlan.
fine, though. Harlan's great. I'll see him in Baltimore this weekend, and he'll probably be playing the same unplayable pile.
What do you think about these decks? What do you think about them? The
Um,
Counters Company.
This deck is a real deal, and we wanted to go over this deck anyway, right?
We did. So here it is. Been watching a decent amount. Brandon DeCandio and Todd Stevens have been championing this on the stream lately. It's the newest deck on the scene, but it's just basically an old deck with some new flavor.
You know who is the first person I saw play this deck?
Who?
Max Brown.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and he's him and Connor
The
both
518 zone, Max
Yeah.
Brown, yeah.
Yeah, that's why Connor
The
was
most
asking me for the
underrated
stamped
Magic the
Viziers.
Gathering player in New York. Max Brown.
Well, I won't disagree with that, but I don't really know any of the New York players in the city.
You know who's the most overrated?
Oh my god.
I was going to say me. It's
So then why aren't you going to say
It's probably you, though.
Oh my God.
It's
Kevin,
a coin
I'm
flip.
glad you won this trophy because now you have to actually live up to some kind of expectation.
No, I don't. I can just go back to playing SCG Opens.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
can.
even have to go to Japan if I don't want to.
Yeah. Well, I bet that you will go to Japan.
I'll probably go to Japan.
Because you will be talked into it.
I might get arrested, though, for having like a nervous breakdown on the airplane.
Okay.
It's entirely possible.
Yeah.
I don't
I'd
know.
say that's within your range.
14 hours is scary.
You going to listen to me if I send you a deck?
No.
Am I is the most
Like, I don't listen to you if you send me a deck. Why would I start now? I've finally achieved a real successful event in Magic by doing nothing that you tell me.
Yes! Finally, I win the argument that Grand Prix are better than Star City. He finally said it. He admitted it. He said, I finally achieved something. Thank God. It's over. It's done with. SCG, we love you, but I'm right.
No,
and
no,
you're
no.
wrong.
You don't get
That's
what
what
I
just
mean.
happened. That is what just happened.
I meant
Everyone that's in
the
chat,
eyes of the silly public opinion. I think
I
that
can't hear you over this.
over the world's smallest violin.
Yes. All right. I can.
If I didn't have that weird headset on, I probably would have dabbed at the end of the winter interview.
That's true.
I dabbed so much for Mark Calderaro in like the pictures, in all the coverage photos. I'm just dabbing constantly. You can find it if you look for it.
By the way, just because I'll give an honorable mention here to myself, that if I didn't find you, you were going to not be able to win this tournament.
Yeah, whatever, man.
Hey, I'm just letting the people
I
know.
don't even care if they gave me a loss in top 8.
Yeah.
I just wanted to have a cigarette.
Yeah.
The
Mark's like, can you do me a favor? We've waited 10 minutes. Where's the daddy? If you don't find the daddy, we got to start.
You know what? Props and slops. Props to you and Mark for being awesome handlers of the daddy. Slops to the Hotel Bonaventure Convention Center
I like this.
for having it be a 7-minute walk that's like a half a mile to go smoke a cigarette.
What does
And
this
there's
tie
no
into?
menthols in your entire province. What is going on?
What does this tie into? They don't want you to smoke.
Why is it so far away? Do you think that's why they have it like that?
Maybe. I doubt it, but...
So there's like this room, right? In the convention center, there's like this room. And the room is, there on either side of the site room, there's like stairs up to the bathrooms on either side of the hall. And then in the corner of each room, there's these 2 glass rooms. And they look like smoking rooms, like they're
not.
balconies or something, but they're not. They're just 4-walled glass rooms. Half the room is brick and half the room is glass. And it's floor-to-ceiling windows on half of it. And there's nothing in the room at all. It's just a carpeted floor. Half the walls are glass, half the walls are brick, and nothing else. And there's 2 double doors to get out. And I go into this room and I tilt off that it's not a smoking room. And I'm just yelling. And there's like no one in the room. And I turn around to exit and I see the double doors. And the double doors have instructions on them. One of
Sure.
them says pull. The other one says pull in French.
Yes.
So I walk up to the left double door. It says pull in French. It says like Tyre, or Tyrez or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce it. And I walk up to it, and it says pull in French.
You said
And
that. I got you.
Push on it,
Okay.
and nothing happens, and I just start screaming. But I'm alone in a closed-off room, so no one can hear me screaming. And I'm just yelling about how I'm so mad that there's this stupid windowless room, and that the instructions are not in English, and then I
Nice.
went out the door, and it was fine.
Nice. Saint Assassin, we will be featuring the Marvel deck on the Deck of the Week next week, so just look for that next Tuesday. It'll probably be on our site on Wednesday. Looking at Triskaidekaphobia yet.
What do
Can't
I
do this.
think will change post-event?
We're going to deal with that on Tuesday.
Okay.
We got to talk about this deck. In fact, I'm going to let you do the rundown. I'm going to be right back, so let everybody know
All
this
right.
newest deck that is formed by what you're saying, the 518's finest.
Yeah, so first person I saw play this deck, Counters Company, was Max Brown, guy from the Albany area, pretty good Magic player, invitational champion, sometime Pro Tour competitor. And Max has been playing various Abzan Company decks for years now. We had a 5K regional event a few weeks ago. Max played this deck, and he played it very well, and I think he got top 16. But he unfortunately got defeated by Daddy because Daddy had main deck Sweltering Suns and Red Green Scapeshift. Can't really compete with that. Sorry. But anyway, So what this deck does is it seeks to make infinite green mana with Devoted Druid and Vizier of Remedies. And what they do is they untap Devoted Druid a bunch of times, and instead of the cost to untap it being put a counter on it, the cost is nothing because you put one less counter on it because of Vizier of Remedies. And the thing is that the Vizier ability is a replacement effect, so like the counter doesn't go on and then get removed, it just never goes on. So once you have an active Druid and Vizier, you can do this, and if they kill it in response, you can just do it again infinite times. They kill it in response, you can still do it again infinite times. So it just keeps happening and happening and happening. So it's pretty hard to beat this with spot removal. And then once they get infinite mana, they use Court of Calling to go and get Duskwatch Recruiter, which eventually finds Walking Ballista, or Collected Company to get Duskwatch Recruiter, which eventually finds Walking Ballista, and so on and so forth. And that's how the deck wins. And so we'll do the rundown of the creature base. 30 creatures. We got 2 Walking Ballista, 4 Birds of Paradise, 4 Devoted Druid, 4 Eternal Witness, 2 Duskwatch Recruiter, 1 Fiend Hunter, 4 Kitchen Finks, 2 Noble Hierarch, 2 Viscera Seer, the other half of the combo, 4 Vizier of Remedies, and 1 Anafenza the Kintry Spirit. So Kitchen Finks, Anafenza, and Viscera Seer is the other part of the combo. Or the other combo, rather. Then he's got 8 spells. He's got 4 Court of Calling and 4 Collected Company. And then 22 lands. 2 forests, 1 plains, 1 swamp, 2 Gavany Township, a Godless Shrine, 3 Horizon Canopy, 2 Overgrown Tomb, 2 Temple Garden, 4 Verdant Catacombs, and 4 Windswept Heath. This is the main deck. The sideboard contains 3 Path, 2 Tracker, 3 Scholar, and then the following one-ofs. 1 Pride Mage, 1 Scavenging Ooze, 1 Selfless Spirit, 1 Eidolon of Rhetoric, 1 Abrupt Decay, 1 Anguish on Making, and 1 Linvala. And that's the deck. This deck has been taking Modern by storm. It's been finishing exceptionally well lately, including a great finish at the Open. I believe the deck got top 4 in the hands of Andrew Main on one of the teams, and I believe there was another top 4 as well. Not 100% sure, but I know that Brad Carpenter played it in the tournament. Ely Cassis played it in the tournament.
Definitely an Ely Cassis kind of deck.
Yeah, definitely an Ely Cassis deck. I agree.
What do you think about the deck? Just looking at it, is it back? Abzan Coco is back.
Yeah, I mean Abzan Coco is back. It was already getting better lately. It was already a fine deck before this happened. It had been steadily improving, I thought, over the past few months, but now it's back in a big way. And this deck is so synergistic too. Like once you get the infinite mana, a lot of things about the deck allow you to win.
Yes.
Like any company can hit Devoted Druid, or not Devoted, sorry, Duskwatch Recruiter, which
gets you every single creature in your deck.
Which gets Walking Ballista eventually, and then you win.
Yeah, but I mean, it gets you every creature in the deck. So Walking Ballista, if you're in a weird matchup and they surgicaled one of your creatures, you can go get like everything.
Yeah.
And literally just play all the green ones and say go, and if they don't have wrath, they're dead.
Yeah. You can just get every creature in your
spot.
deck and leave 3 cards in your deck or whatever, or all the non-creatures will be filtered to the bottom or whatever. Yeah, Brad won the Classic. We just had that. That's his list.
Yeah.
Actually, you guys can't see the name at the top, but it's Brad's list.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's pretty sweet. I don't know if Max had Duskwatch Recruiter in his deck, and that's probably why that he made infinite mana but still couldn't kill me. Oh, he killed me with Court of Calling, or he killed people with Court of Calling for Bloodright Invoker from Rise of the Eldrazi.
Okay.
2 in a black for a 3/1, 8 mana. Target player loses 3 life.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was how he won. So he cored for that and just activated it a million times.
That's wild.
I think that this way is probably better because Company can hit Recruiter, or Witness back Company can hit Recruiter, and once you hit Recruiter, you just immediately win.
Yeah, maybe I should just be playing this deck, huh? Is this deck just so
Deck is
good that
cool.
we should all be playing it?
I don't know. I'm a escape shift people. I'm just gonna do that. That's what I'm gonna do.
I hope we don't get to a point where right now it's kind of like the hot 2 decks. This is the 1 or 2 and Storm, and just like watching them play against each other is just so hilarious because they're 2 literal ships just passing in the night.
Yeah. Companies are still in the chat. The companies are still live to kill them when you have infinite mana. because they hit Duskbush Recruiter, which hits Walking Ballista, and they die. That's how this deck works. I guess some people were playing Ronus, though. That's kind of cool.
No, that makes sense. Like playing Ronus, because you have infinite mana with the Druid, but it's all green. And so you could just, like, if whatever creature you had him play the previous turn, you can just pump it to whatever. Especially when you're playing, like, Birds of Paradise. They don't have a flyer, you just kill them out of nowhere. All right. Wanted to feature that deck. And a lot of the hate, huh? Prison, hate bears, like
John
taxes.
Pellman plays Prison at every tournament. And he's top 8 I think, multiple opens with it. He's very good with it.
We got into Harlan's deck.
I hope Harlan lost playing for top 8 to John Pellman playing Prison. That would make me happy.
What do you expect to see this weekend besides what we just talked about? Storm being the Encounters Company being like the two new decks that people are definitely going to be using to metagame.
What do I expect to see this weekend? I expect to see Affinity, Counters Company, Eldrazi Tron as the most popular decks, or Death Shadow.
Okay.
Most likely the Abzan one I think is the best, but I think that the Jund one will still probably be the most played.
See this list?
I think, no, get that out of here. I think that we'll see Abzan as the best mid-range deck, and I think that we'll see a little bit of Grixis control and a little bit of blue-white control. Okay. And then I think that red-green Scapeshift is still a totally viable deck. I think we'll see some Dredge. Dredge is tier 1. We'll see that. I don't think we'll see this Abomination.
I don't think this deck is positioned quite as well as I'd like it to be. I believe this list has maybe a couple too many creatures, and you're going to need to, moving forward, with Company being a big player, it looks like you're going to need to play more Path of Exiles and Suppression Fields. But I do think that like this deck could do well, but it's not really the right time for this deck right now. I think this card's really huge. The decks you just talked about, Gaddock Teague, just shuts down like a lot of what those decks want to be doing. And it's like huge. And obviously you just have like the Stony Silences and stuff versus Affinity. If the matchups line up and you're not playing all of the degenerate combo decks, I think like Boggles is always a fine choice. But
I think Abzan will be the most played black-green mid-range deck.
Okay.
I think that there'll be some ad nauseum. Not a ton of it, but I think one will top 8. I think that deck is great.
The Cartouche is great, by the way. I really like it. You shave a couple Hyena Umbras, and you shave a couple of the Spirit Links to the sideboard. But putting an extra 1/1 into play is like big game versus Liliana. It's big game versus
there's a lot of
Blessed Alliance
chat going on. Sorry.
Okay.
There's just a lot of congratulations.
So you interrupted me from talking
to hold
so have me look
yeah.
and say congrats, Kevin. All right. Nicely trimmed beard.
Not really.
Yeah, it's
like
definitely
5 days worth.
You're lucky
I gotta
the
work on
camera's
that.
showing it off.
The camera is flattering me. They can't see the beard on the neck.
So all in all, it'll probably be
Daddy's neck.
Another modern tournament where I think what's hot is going to be over-exaggerated to like what's actually going to happen. There's going to be people doing the new things, but it's going to be much more the same.
Yeah.
So
I think the new thing is Counters Company. I think that'll be the thing that we see a lot of this weekend.
All right, here you go. Humility.
All right, so humility.
For all of you that don't know what humility is, it's all creatures lose abilities and are 1/1s.
Are you supposed to brag when you do well in events? Are you supposed to brag? Now, you're the least humble person I know. Besides maybe
I'm the
me.
least humble.
Yeah.
Okay. In what regards?
Your quote, the quote of your existence is, "Of course you should have listened to me, my deck is great." That is like the thing you say more than any other thing.
Well, that's because when I do well, you're so surprised that I do well because you say that my deck is a pile or is unplayable. Like
the
most
one
of the
time you did well and I was most impressed.
The one time I did
was
well,
when you played the black-white deck in GP New York or in GP New Jersey.
Okay.
That was impressive.
What about all the other times I did
and you're
well?
great.
What about all the other times I did well?
You mean like the couple other times?
Okay.
When you
See,
play
now I feel
Boggles.
like you're not being humble. You're stroking your ego.
Which has nothing to do with me comparatively. You have a more decorated Magic career than I do by a long shot.
Okay.
But
how many times do I reference that without
I
being
am
provoked?
super famous.
You hear me?
What's up?
I said, how many times do I bring that up without being provoked? That's what being humble is.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that you don't bring up how much better your career is than mine unless I poke the bear.
Well, yeah, because
Daddy
you're
pokes the bear.
comparing.
Daddy pokes the bear.
You're comparing.
Daddy
If you're
pokes the
going to
bear.
put in comparison, then I have to bring up factual information to compare to what you're talking about.
Yeah, people will be happier for a person that is humble. I agree.
I am humble. I don't yell from the mountaintops I'm great. Like what? Give me
I think
a reference.
you yell from the mountaintops that you're great.
Well, I do yell from the mountaintops.
You
'cause we're
literally
here in
introduced
Catskill.
me as a champion by saying, I've been telling him to play this deck forever, and he finally listened to me, and then he got a trophy. That is a
Yeah.
ludicrous way to introduce what happened to me.
Yeah.
You
but
literally
but it's true.
funneled it through the lens of your being right as being, like, instrumental in my success, which is, like, a nonsensical way to approach the situation.
I guess none of us are humble.
Oh, I'm not very humble at all, but I've been, like...
You're just...
I was just like a bullied little kid when I was in high school. So now that I'm famous, I just like love it. I just soak it in. My favorite part about being famous is like signing
Hey,
stuff
thanks a lot for the follow.
and
Appreciate
shaking
that.
hands because I just
How do
can't
we
get enough of the
classify
fame.
Jerry T's eBay auctions? They're great.
It's awesome. It's fantastic. Why would you ever classify it as
doing-
anything bad?
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic thing.
The one
for
thing I don't
what he wants to do.
understand is like, why would anyone want to buy the trophy? Outside of like a sports memorabilia like collector.
Is there going to be a Magic the Gathering Hall of Fame at some point?
There is.
No, I mean like that you go to.
Oh, like a brick and mortar building.
Yeah.
That enshrines all these things. That'd
Yeah.
be kind of cool.
I mean, 20, 30 years down the road, maybe it's like attached to Wizards. Maybe there's like a Hall of Fame out there. And please go there and kiss babies. Yes, Kevin. Do you remember syrup sandwiches?
I do not.
I don't know.
Does that mean that I'm not humble enough?
Yeah. So get to what you're talking about here, and you wanted to bring up the Oliver thing. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. We can talk about the Oliver thing if you want.
You
I
were
just
talking
wanted to
about
see what the chat's opinion was on the fact that I just shamelessly bragged to the woman at the border when I was coming back into the country.
Okay.
Like, that was my main reason for bringing this up. She was like, "What were you doing in Canada?"
And you were like winning a trophy.
I handed her my passport, and she said, "What were you doing, or where do you live?" And I told her, and she said, "What were you doing in Canada?" And I said, "I was playing in a Magic the Gathering card game tournament." And she said, "How did you do?" And I just went, and picked up the trophy that was riding shotgun, and just held it up to the window. And she was like, "You won?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Oh, she's like, you robbed the guy that won?
And she's like, "Did you win money?" And I explained to her that I won money. I said, "Yes, $10,000. And she said, "Well, do you have $10,000? And I said, no. Like, it's like an electronic deposit or whatever." She's like, "Because you're going to have to, like, go over there and fill out this form, and it's going to be, like, not good." And I'm like, "No, of course not. Like, the money, comes to, like, an internet account.
Hashtag polls are back.
A week later or whatever."
The
The
polls!
poll is back.
The polls!
Should I have bragged to the border lady? Like, how many times am I going to have the opportunity to, like, brag to the customs person, right?
It's true.
Like, so I've been internationally twice recently. And one time, I get into customs in the Netherlands, and the border agents are just talking to me about fantasy football at the customs desk, which is really cool. They're like, "Oh, American football is one of our favorite things. We watch weekly or whatever." And I'm like, "Oh, that's really cool."
Everyone's agreeing.
Everyone is united. I didn't have to pay Canadian taxes.
What do 1 and 2 mean?
At the border, they asked Noah. This is Zach Kine, so this is people who we were hanging out. I was hanging out
Oh,
with
Zach,
Sunday.
what's going on?
And Noah Walker. He says at the border, they asked Noah what he does for a living, and he said play Magic cards. And they said, "Can you support a family doing that?"
I don't know. That's a good
On the
question.
way into Canada, the lady at the border said that her friend was buying a house or financing a house using his Magic collection,
That's wild.
and that it was beep expletive deleted crazy. And I was like, Canada's chill. She just dropped an F-bomb at the border.
You don't hear too many of those stories, but when the boom happened with the power and everything, about maybe 10 years ago, back when I used to play in Waterville Elite, I know a lot of people that sold their collections and then took the money with that and just, put their kids through college. Which is crazy to think about. Magic cards sending kids to college in multiple ways.
Also, one or two is... select one if you think I should have bragged to the border lady about my Grand Prix championship. And select two if you think I should have not bragged and put the trophy in the trunk and not been a pompous fool. That's the poll.
That poll's over. It's a yes. Come on. It's a resounding yes.
I can't believe 13.3% didn't want to brag. I guess that's like the international crowd,
because it's like
right?
It's almost like bragging.
Like every American is going to be like just slam it down, right?
Maybe, or it's like you're bragging to someone that doesn't even know what that means. Because you probably like magic cards.
Magic cards almost put me out of college. That's the funniest. That's the funniest thing that's been in the chat all day. I feel you.
Yeah, I won't repeat myself. All right. Is that all you got? Did you want to bring up the Oliver thing? I have no idea what it's even referencing. I just saw a post from Ben Stark saying give him a second chance.
I'll bring it up. All right, so here's what happened.
We're ending the show with this.
So there was like a post on Twitter on Sunday night, and Oliver too had said something like, "I'm quote unquote I'm so scared whenever I play against." Someone with a game day champion playmat.
That's what he said?
And he said, and he was like being sarcastic or whatever, being like, haha, I'm not scared of your playmat, I'm a Platinum Pro or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, it's kind of cocky and it's kind of like not great to say that, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Especially when you're, well, we'll get into that.
But then like the outlet or like the internet response was just like overwhelmingly crazy against him. Like random people were like, "I'm not following you anymore," or "It's real easy to beat people with playmats when you bribe all your opponents," and just like crazy things were just being said, like ridiculously, and it's just like that's just what was happening. People were just like attacking him left and right. They were like, "Oh, disrespectful. Have some class. No class. No class. No class."
But that's not. See. I don't know exactly the reference, but from what you're telling me, if he went out and said that, especially if he's put that on social media, then people have the right to not, send hate messages, but to tell him that that is distasteful, regardless of who it is. If somebody said that, they have the right to get some backfire. Yeah. I mean, you gotta be accountable for the words that you.
But do you think that's like funny or whatever?
Or is what funny?
It's a joke. It's obviously a joke.
I think it's something that everyone's going to react differently. And if that was something that it was like a dinner conversation with friends that he wanted to discuss, I think that's fine. I think by putting it on social media, and I think now is definitely something that he's going to find out that you're open to just what everybody else thinks.
It's nothing. They're like, it's like when Owen called the Tarmogoyf pick disgusting, but it's nothing like that. Like, that's a difference in values. Like, Owen and they're being like, you have to have respect for
you're kind of
the integrity of the game at the highest level.
You're insulting casual Magic players or people at one game day.
And then the other side of it is, Pascal being like, well, my values and my financial situation dictated that I should probably take this Tarmogoyf. And, like, that's fine, too. Yeah, I think that, like, both opinions are fine.
But they're different because...
They're different,
That is totally different from making a joke about someone's playmat because you're already assuming that they're a quote-unquote scrub or whatever that, played game day, and they're beneath Oliver, too, because he's a Platinum Pro.
Yeah.
Like, that's the take I'm getting on it. I don't think Oliver obviously meant for it to come out that way and was probably just poking fun because he's on Twitter, he's on social media all the time.
Yeah, he was just making...
And he's a young kid. Like,
this
isn't like
making a dumb little kid joke. Like, oh, haha, nice playmat, man, I got you. Like, I'm great, I'm Oliver too. I'm not scared of your playmat, I'm a Worlds competitor or whatever. And it's like kind of cocky and dumb, but it's also like kind of funny.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think that like you got to understand that people who are going through these things are like, we're all in like the same experience, right? But like not all of us are like lucky enough to be platinum pros and world's competitors at 19 years old or whatever. And it's just a tough spot to be in. Like, what do you know, like, nobody taught this kid how to manage his fame. Nobody taught him how to manage the ego. Like, he went from, like, being in high school to being a platinum pro.
Yeah.
You know? It's just like, sure, I'm not going to excuse, like, bashing casual players. I love people who love Magic. Like, I love the idea of casual Magic. I think it's just such a great spirited thing. Like, playing with your friends because you enjoy it is, like, great. Like, it just makes me so happy that, like, people play kitchen table Magic and, like, have beat up 75 card decks or 79 card decks with no sleeves on them and stuff. Like, as someone who's played Magic super competitively for a very long time, like, I just deeply love, like, the idea of playing Magic because you want to and because you're having a good time. So, like, yeah, I don't want to bash casual players and keep them out of the game, but, like, you also have to understand that he's just making a joke. Like, you know, Ben Stark's not going to sit down at, like, 30 years old or whatever, 32 years old or whatever, however old he is, and be like, oh, I'm not scared of you with your playmat, casual. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, the fact that the kid still has some growing up to do is, you know, blatantly obvious by the post, but I don't think they need to rip him apart for it either.
Yeah,
that's basically my take.
He's a young kid. All right, well, we're ending the show with a little...
Oh, wait, can we talk about this real quick?
What is it?
Remember when you criticized me for joking about Cassius Marsh's play? How is this different? Okay, so this is actually interesting. So, you don't know about this, but we can talk about this. So basically, there was like a charity event where two guys on the Seahawks played in an F&M at a mock sporting house in Seattle.
Sure. Hey, appreciate the follow. Thanks a lot.
And Cash was playing on camera, and some people in a group were like, and one of the person was the person who made this comment, was like, kind of, you know, like saying that his play was like not great. They're like, oh, he's so bad or whatever.
Who?
Cassius Marsh.
Okay.
And he's like a defensive end for the Seahawks. He's like a superstar.
Sure.
And when he plays Magic, he loves Magic.
I wouldn't go as far as say superstar, but yeah, he's a good player.
Yeah. He's a sometime starter, and he's a starter on special teams. So he's not a superstar.
Okay.
But
I was going to say, our definitions of superstar are very different.
But compared to, like, the average Magic player, he's a superstar.
All right.
Even compared to the average famous Magic player, it pales in comparison. The amount of money that guy has is insane.
Yeah, but that doesn't make him a superstar in the game of
But he
football.
chooses to spend his time.
Sure.
When he can literally fly to Hawaii for a 5-hour half day.
Yeah, but that's separate.
But he's spending his time playing in a charity event for, like, to better the game.
Thanks for
and
the
there's
follow.
like
Appreciate
people
it.
who like struggle through PPDQs, like sitting there behind their keyboards, like mocking him for like messing up with his 4-color Planeswalkers deck on camera. Like, get a life. That's what happened. I just like called him out. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, the things that this guy is doing for the game are so much better than anything that you'll ever be able to do for the game. Like, shut up. Okay. I just went in. I got so mad. And
it's gas.
I just defended my position to get mad because, like, I think that like you got to be careful, like, making fun of someone who is just doing something so awesome for Magic, like having a sports star, a mainstream sports star support your game.
So
is unbelievably good for all of us in a resounding way. There you go. I made a joke about a cringeworthy play. Kevin called me out for not having humility. Kevin was right, but like, how is what Oliver did different?
This is what I'm gonna say. All right, you're held accountable for what you say.
Yeah.
Nobody has to be a saint here. There's gonna be villains and heroes and everything that's going on. But like, if you're gonna say that stuff, then you need to be able to take, the backlash. And I don't, like I said, I think the biggest thing is what Oliver said or tweeted, whatever, is being twisted and maybe taken out of context. Because like you said, he could have been just meaning it as a joke. Yeah. And not just been like, well, I'm going to just bash casuals because I don't, care about casuals because I'm just going to crush them. Every time I see a game day mad, it means I'm going to win. Whatever, you could go down that road. But like, not everyone's going to make the Hall of Fame. And maybe if his opinion is like that he wanted to say a joke, it's also not right for people to just bash him. Yeah. Because he didn't do what everyone else is supposed to do. Yeah. I think that he should get a little bit of criticism for it, but that it shouldn't be like, oh, you're a bad person. Oh, like, I'm unfollowing you. I'm never respecting you again. It should just be like, hey, kid, stop being such a kid. Yeah. Stop being at the playground mocking the kids who are worse than you at kickball or whatever. Just grow up a little bit,
And that's what I would be like. I would just like ruffle his head. I'd just be like, come on, buddy, grow up. Like that. But yeah, no, but the difference between like that and what happened with Cash and the charity thing is that like the attacking like Cassius Marsh's play in a charity FNM
it's really
is a fundamental misunderstanding of like what the point of this is. Like the point of Cassius Marsh being in a charity FNM is just to like do so much for Magic as like an acceptable mainstream hobby and like a real intellectual pursuit that people care about. Like it does wonders for that, so much more than like any of our successes can do. Even like as much as good as we are, or as good as like, you know, like I just won a huge tournament and my voice is nothing compared to that dude's. Like he can move so much for Magic with his presence being there. It's astounding. And like I yelled at them not because I thought it was classless, but because I thought that they were approaching like the idea of Magic the wrong way. If they were able to make that criticism, it just showed that they didn't understand what Magic was really about. And if you're too much focused on your own small things and you're too self-centered and not having like enough big picture view to understand like why a superstar athlete being in Magic is a resounding vote of confidence for Magic, then like you just needed a reality check, and that's what happened. And like that's what it was. And like Oliver's is a question of like, yeah, the kid needs to like reflect a little bit and like maybe grow up and not say some stuff like that. But yeah, Patty, he was the NFL player who had his card stolen, exactly. But like, that thing with Cash was just a misunderstanding of like what the important things about Magic truly are going into like this age where information and social media are like super important and branding is super important. Like you really just need to make sure that like famous people are seen playing Magic if you want Magic to be good.
Speaking of famous people,
Daddy's home.
KerwinsGameStore.com is the online source for your gaming needs. We stock sealed products and card singles for Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Weiss Schwartz. We also carry singles for HeroClix and Star Wars Destiny. With our free economy shipping on all orders and responsive customer service, you get more of the games you want hassle-free. Shop KerwinsGameStore.com today and see why we are the best place in gaming.